Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome all of you back in one of the most wonderful sessions of your press in collaboration with the Egyptian Knowledge Bank, the EKB. Today, we are going to have a session which is really awesome because it is presented by one of our most awesome and special speakers, Miss Suzette Pitti. She will talk to you today about New Hello, how to use it, how to digitalize your teaching, and no further to say, Suzette, the floor is yours. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Miss Amani. Lovely to be with everybody. I wish I was there in person. I'm sure it would be a lot warmer than London, where I am at the moment. But it's an absolute pleasure to be able to join you today and to talk to you. So I really look forward to talking to you today about New Hello and our resources on the EKB. And so I will start just by sharing my screen. I'm going to have to do a bit of jumping around with screen sharing today, so apologies in advance for that, but needs must. So today I just want to start by talking about New Hello and this wonderful course and the fantastic resources that there are on the EKB available for everyone to be able to access. And we'll just go through how to access them and what we can do with them. So just to start off, we'll talk through the benefits of the digital resources, and then we will look specifically at the resources that are on the EKB and how to access them. Then we will look at how to make the most of the digital resources that are available to us. And finally, we will look at blending online tools for an effective and engaging lesson, because there are so many different things you can do. So I will also be calling upon you to share your ideas and any suggestions that you may have. And at that moment, please type those in the chat and we can all take part and learn from each other. So I really look forward to hearing from you as well. But the EKB is such a fantastic resource, and Egypt is really world leading in having such an amazing platform for all the materials you could possibly want to be available to all Egyptian citizens. The UK certainly doesn't have anything similar, so it's really incredibly impressive that the platform exists and is open to everyone. So if my computer will let me. Benefits of digital resources. Does anyone have any ideas what kind of benefits of digital resources there are? Please type in the chat. I'll give you a couple of minutes to make your suggestions. Why is it so useful to have digital resources for your classes? I'm gonna just stop share a minute so I can see any conversation you might have. So Ibrahim El Gamal, thank you very much. As teaching aids, yes, exactly. They can be used really effectively as teaching aids. So repeating the question, what are the benefits of digital resources? Why do we want digital resources? So there are some fantastic ideas coming in. Ms. Imen says it's for simplifying. So yes, absolutely, we can use it to simplify, to give an extra explanation. We have ideas, so it's enjoyable. It helps prepare PowerPoint presentations. So for teachers, that's a really excellent point. We also have ideas, so it's easy, it's available to use in online learning, attracts students' attention. Students can benefit from it even if they're absent. That's a really good point. So if your student wasn't able to join the class, all the lesson is there and available for them. That's fantastic. So yes, to make it more interesting, thank you, Miss Amani, for passing on comments for me. So yeah, to make students, to get students aware of technology and using technology, and to make classes interesting and attractive. There are some really, really fantastic ideas. So thank you for sharing those. I will show you what I came up with, but all of those are, I think most of those are included, but also you've got some fantastic ideas too. So I just have to share screen again. So these are the ideas that I had. So easy to learn outside the classroom. Obviously that is particularly true at the moment, where everyone is trying to cope with different situations, where students can or can't get to the classroom. Maybe students are sick and they need to miss class, but or if they're learning at home, having those resources available somewhere online as a resource that students can go and find in their own time, just gives you that extra reassurance that there is something there, they know what they should have seen, or you can use it digitally as a lesson from your class. Moving on to the next point, offers a variety of tasks. So many of you had made those exact suggestions. So if you are looking for something a little bit different in class, you've got the option of having some variety there. So we've got videos and audio, and it's not just listening to the teacher, although, you know, that's obviously wonderful, but it's great to have a variety. It keeps students interested. One point which I've mentioned here is that we do include, for New Hello, we include the PDFs as well as the digital lessons. We'll look at both shortly, but the fact that the PDFs are available helps students who maybe, and teachers, but anyone who isn't quite so comfortable with technology and they're not so comfortable with having a book in a different format, can refer to the PDFs, and that is in the beautiful page style that they're familiar with from the book. So it's not so different. So there's a way to make everyone comfortable with what they can see. Somebody mentioned if students were absent, exactly that. And also if they just didn't understand it so well, if they need a bit of extra practice. For example, with listening, it's an ideal way to give a little bit of extra practice. If your students didn't understand when they were listening in class, listen to the audio file next time you're at home and bored, or you could listen to it when you next have internet access and can do a little extra practice. So many options for extra practice. Also, particularly for New Hello, this is a book for prep and secondary school students. So they should be starting to be a little bit more independent as learners. We still obviously help them and we give them as much support as they need, but we can try to encourage independence. So we can not just give them homework, but we can give them homework that they can interpret in a different way. They can choose something themselves. So it can encourage their independence. We can say, if you didn't understand, you might want to listen again. It's up to them. But it's a good way just to encourage them to start thinking about how to improve for themselves. We have 3 more ideas here and then we'll move on. Digital resources can also be great for flipping the classroom. I'm sure many of you know about that, but do you have any ideas? What does that mean? Any suggestions? Have a few chat points. So nobody's responded on that one, but so flipping the classroom is where what is flipping the classroom was my question. So I've said that digital resources are great for flipping the classroom. What does flipping the classroom mean? Excellent. Someone called Moonlight has given a really good answer. So for students at home, yes. So this is good for flipping the classroom. What flipping the classroom means is that you have asked students to prepare something before the lesson, and then in the class, yes, Sarazaki on Facebook has a really good answer. So exactly, so you ask them to watch a video or listen to something or to read a text before the class. They prepare it and then they bring it to class. So you're not using your class time to do something that they can do on their own. You're making sure that in the class time, you're really benefiting from that time where you are face to face and able to support and give feedback. Whereas if they're just sitting and watching a video, they can do that at home. So flipping the classroom is just a slightly different way of working. Rather than teaching in class and then setting homework, you set some homework and then you do follow up in class. So the fact that digital resources are always available is an ideal way to use this flipping the classroom. And again, that just provides more variety for the class. So some lessons you might want to do that, and some lessons you don't. And yes, Ms. Mayhab has suggested exactly that. Flipping the classroom really ties into the independence. So it helps students to get responsibility for themselves and to think about what they want to achieve. And then they know that they have to do it for the class. So we are still giving them lots of guidance, but you are giving them guidance towards being independent as well. Another excellent benefit for studying online and with instant access to other materials, instant access to digital resources, is that you also have instant access to other materials. So if you are teaching online, for example, and a question comes up, you can instantly say, oh, search for that, find that information out. And especially if you're using the Egyptian Knowledge Bank, there is so much available from other publishers on other topics that you can always ask them to do a little bit of extra research. And you know that if they're searching on the Egyptian Knowledge Bank, everything they find has been approved by the Ministry of Education, it's been fact-checked, it's correct, and they're going to find really good answers. So there's a really good benefit. You don't have to take them to a school library or anything else. It's all there and available to them. Yes, there are some really excellent ideas coming in the chat, and I'll get to many of those points later. So keep them coming. And my final point here, as many of you said, videos really help to bring topics to life. They just give a different aspect and a different way of looking at things. So thank you for all your ideas. There are so many benefits for using digital resources and making them a part of your lesson. So just moving on to the next slide. So we'll look specifically today at new Hello resources on the EKB and how to access them. But we have 3 different EKB sites, I'm sure you know. So we have ekb.eg, we have LMS ekb.eg, and we have study.ekb.eg. So my question is, how are these sites different from each other? How do you use them differently? Not many ideas on this one. So I can start with the results here. So we have a number of, perfect, thank you, Miss Rehab. So exactly that. So EKB, EG is for absolutely anyone to access. Everyone throughout Egypt can use this site. But it was originally designed exactly that. You need an account for this to be able to access this. And it was originally designed for university students, and it has now been broadened out to include a huge range of things, including all the materials that you need for school. The downside of the EKB-EG is that there is so much that it can sometimes be difficult to find what you want. So the ministry set up LMS ekb.eg and study.ekb.eg. So we will be looking at these. Yes, thank you, Nasa Shahat. Exactly right. Study.ekb.eg doesn't need an account. Everyone can access it instantly. So you just click it and it opens up. Exactly that. So you can find what you need, and it's much, much easier to navigate and to find what you want. So we shall have a look at these today. So I will just stop share and share something else so we can have a look at the site itself. So I hope you can now see my screen. So here I have two sites here. So I have study, and as I can't remember who it was said in the chat, but as you pointed out, you're exactly right. So for this site, you don't need to sign in. You can just click study now and you started. And then you can choose your subject, choose what you need. I'm just going to, there we go. I use the site in English, but obviously to use it in Arabic, you can just change over. And then you can find what you need very, very simply. So for English, we just click through to English and then we can choose. I will actually show you the same thing, but on LMS. So I will use this just because it's a little simpler, but we will be looking at the same thing. So when you look at study guide here, that should be what you see. So if we go into study guide, we see the same that we saw in study. So it's just easier for me to show you on the one site. You can change your grade if you want. I've chosen already that I will use secondary 2 for today, but you can choose a different grade. And then for secondary, you can look at English, and instantly the book comes up very nicely organized for you. So for secondary 2, at the moment we just have term 1. Term 2 is coming very, very soon, and that will join the list at the bottom here. But we have 3 different options here on the left. So we have the student book, which you're all familiar with, and this is the PDF. So we have the PDF of every lesson split out, so you can see the student book is available. for you. Some are 1 page and some are 2 pages. These are really easy to access. You can zoom to make them as clear as you need to. You can print them if you want to, and you can download them directly to whatever device you're working on if you wish to. So those are really easy to access and easy to use in your class. The same is true for the workbook. You've got the workbook available in exactly the same way as a PDF. So those are simple. What we also have is this section called additional content. Now, this is something that's new in the last couple of years, but it's really an amazing resource that our team have put together. So if you click on launch here, this launches that same lesson, exactly the same, but everything is interactive. So this is ideal for using in these times because it puts everything that the student's going to need in one place. So it's really good for extra practice and for finding everything together. There's no excuse for students to say that they couldn't find an audio track because it's all in here ready for them to use. So they can use this either as practice at home, or you can use it for teaching in class or on online lessons. So some questions are discussion questions. All reasonable answers are accepted. So you can just ask students to write in whatever would work for them. And then you can discuss what their answers were. Other questions like this they are fully interactive. So for the fully interactive questions, you can ask students to try something out for themselves. So here, I'm not going to put the right answers, so don't, I can do the answers if I need to, but so in this case, when I click submit, it shows me that I got 2 correct and I made 3 mistakes. So at that point, I can reset and I can try again. And this time it's shuffled everything. So I have a really good opportunity to test myself and to see what else I can do. So again, I can describe an illness or injury that is very serious, severe. So again, I can put in, I can put these in. If I get them right, that's great. If not, and I'm really stuck, I can reveal and then I can check the answers. So this is the ideal sort of exercise for students to try on their own at home, maybe before the lesson, to practice, and then you can use all that vocabulary in the class. Or you can just do it as a practice exercise. We have the same reading texts that we have on the PDF. So it's all exactly as you would expect. Then there is a short question with it. This one has an answer, but you can't see the answer until you've put in your own answer. So if I put in an answer and then I show, I almost got it right, I got half of it right, but I can then check what I did. And similar with other questions, you can show answers, but you can't put it in until you can't show the answer until you've done something. So it just encourages students to really engage with the text. Also, we do have certain things, in certain lessons, we have videos. And these, again, are playable exactly from the lesson itself. So I'll play just a short part here.
Have you heard of CPR? It's short for cardiopulmonary resuscitation, and it's a technique you perform on a person who isn't responding and isn't breathing.
So that just gives you a sample of the sort of videos we have. As I say, they are built in directly into the interactive lessons. They are also available, and we'll look at that in a minute. They are also available separately, but if you need to ask students to find them very, very easily, giving them a link just to this lesson is the clearest way, because they will certainly not miss it. So it's in space and it's in the space and the questions are right next to it. So it's exactly where it needs to be. And then finally, this one has a discussion question and two discussion exercises. So these could be done in groups for students, and then they can all collaborate on what their answer should be. A very quick and easy little tip is also that there's a little notification here which says up, and if you click on this, it immediately takes you up the page, so you don't have to scroll for ages. So that's very, very convenient little tip to note. Also, you can navigate instantly to any section of this lesson as well. So if I click on exercise 5, I'm taken instantly down to exercise 5. So navigation is really, really simple within these. Also worth pointing out to all of your students that Workbook is also included, and it's attached to each lesson. So if you click on go to Workbook, this is the Workbook material for this lesson. I'm just going to see. So exactly that. We have all of the workbook material is here and available, which links to the student's book lesson exactly as it does in the book. And again, some of these activities you would need to think about an answer and then show an answer. For example, this one, you needed to write the noun or verb and use a dictionary. So for this one, act, you need to put the noun. I will put action and show the answer. I'm correct. So that's very good practice. And then read and order sentence. Again, this is another interactive one. It works slightly differently. So I will need to read and discover what is first, second, and third. And then I can type my answer into the box. So this is not the correct answer, but if I can add my answers in, and then I can submit and check. So this is just testing students' understanding about what they did in the class. So this is just another way for you to use the interactive lessons. Of course, when it's something like this and it's a writing task, you can ask students to type in here, but you probably want them to actually do the writing practice to get used to exam situations and what they need. So again, if you were using this to talk to your students and to explain the lesson, that's absolutely fine. You can then obviously ask them to do the exercise afterwards. Thank you for all the arrows. But that's exactly right. So they're there. And again, you have the little up sign. So a few useful things to note also. Yeah, thank you. So few people have had comments, so I'm just going to try and read a few of the comments. So exactly that. So several people have said that we need to prepare students before dealing with some of the questions. Exactly, yes. So you need to look at the lesson beforehand and think some of these activities students could do beforehand. For example, as I pointed out with exercise 1, it would be possible for students to look at these definitions, read about the words and practice this before they do things, but you don't necessarily want them to do all the comprehensive exercises with a reading text because you want to go through it in class. So they could perhaps read the text and then you can discuss it in class. Other people say, yes, give them the audio track related to the title, give them some questions. Exactly. So this is really great. Thank you for sharing all your ideas. Lots of really, really excellent points in the chat. That's very helpful. So if we return now to the study guide, here we have lots of information. Here we have lots of information. We had a look at the study guide. We also have the digital library. And again, with the digital library, there are different ways to search for materials. There are a couple of things you can do to try and help find things more easily. One is to look for publishers, and you can immediately choose which publisher you want. So if you were looking specifically for English books, you might choose York Press. If you were looking for something which you know is published by Discovery, you can click on Discovery. So that helps to limit your choices as well. Also, when we're in digital library, if I just click, again, I have the options to choose school subjects or school years, so I can focus down my search. So if I look for school years and I look for secondary 1, then everything I'm seeing should be secondary 1. Then I can look for English and I will just see English. So you make full use of the menu on the left. It's really, really useful. You can also then search for resource types. So if I know I want to use only audio, and I'm looking specifically for audio materials, I can click on audio and I will get audio materials for secondary 1. So track 3 is here, for example. If I click on this one, again, I can't move the arrow, but I can click on everything. Again, if I want to, and I want to make something available, or I want to save it and use it in my lesson, I can click on this 3-dot menu here, and then I have the option to download. So I can download any materials that I want to for audio. So that's a really useful way to be able to access the resources that you need. You can't download the interactive lesson, unfortunately. Those have to be used online. That's just because it's a website, really. So you can't download it yourself, but with PDFs and with audio, you can absolutely do that. So it just makes it easy to teach offline if you need to sometimes as well. And again, video, you can search precisely just for video. And it's showing a few of the secondary 1 videos which are available on the site as well. So one useful other thing to note when you are searching, there are 2 really important and easy ways to find more resources that you're interested in. So we have gone to a new Hello Secondary 1 video. I'm interested in that. This is great. This is what I want. But I want to see other similar resources. Well, if I scroll down the page, I can absolutely see other things that are similar. So below this, there are related resources. So again, there are some videos from other units. I've also got an audio track from the same book. Not quite sure what the link is with that one, but again, here's another one which is linked to the same book, and I can click along and find a few things that the system thinks is similar to this. It could be that they're in the same unit. It could be that they're in the same book. So it's a useful way to find something quite quickly. So that always helps in terms of being able to navigate quite quickly. And you can again see other related resources. Many people also don't realize that these green tags over on this side, these are also links. So if I want to see other New Hello Secondary 1 resources, I can click on this tab and it will show me everything which is called New Hello Secondary 1. So all of these files are linked. So again, this can be another good way to find what you're looking for. So it can be very useful. All right, I'm just going to dive back into my presentation. So excuse me a second while I change screens for you. Okay. So last couple of points that we were going to talk about today. So how to blend online tools for an effective and engaging lesson. So you don't necessarily just want to use online tools. You want students to move away from their device screen and read something sometimes, or to ask somebody a question, or to talk to their friends on a WhatsApp group. So you need to mix, oops, sorry, I have to jump back to previous page, if it will let me. No, it won't let me. Ah, there we go. It will let me. So we need to blend things to keep, we need to blend our tools to keep as much variety as possible for our students. So as we say, with the digital resources that we have, there are PDFs, there are interactive digital lessons. And I know at the moment in Egypt, you have the wonderful resource of television lessons as well, which you can use. You can, when you're teaching, you can use Zoom and breakout rooms with your class. You can use WhatsApp group. I'm sure you all have fantastic ideas for how to get your students to work in small groups together, and they're not just feeling isolated at home. And the more we can do to mix and match these things, these different systems that we have, the more variety there is and the more engaged students are. We also have lots of extension resources possibilities that you can use. So you can ask them to look at websites, and you could ask them, for example, to do an interview with their friends and family, or to look at a book, or to watch songs or movies and news in English. Because if they're, this can just give a little bit more variety to what they're doing in class, and can be a really good, fun way to broaden out what they have. It's also great to collaborate. As I say, they need students, especially for secondary and preparatory students, they need to be able to share their ideas and see what each other are doing, to encourage each other and to support each other. So there are tools like Dropbox and Google Drive and WhatsApp, and there's a tool, very similar tool called Flipgrid, where you can show students work and they can see what each other, they can see each other's ideas. So those are ideas you might want to use. And finally, for consolidation and engagement, there are some really nice tools such as Kahoot.com and Mentimeter.com. There are lots of others out there. Please do your own research. But these give you a chance to vote on different ideas. So you can ask a question, and all the students can contribute yes or no just by pressing a button on their mobile phone or whatever device they're using. And at that point, they can take part, and it shows a little graph of what they're doing. So finally, just wanted to look at how to make the most of digital resources. Many of you have already shared these ideas, which is fantastic. But one really, really important point is, which you are all doing today by taking part in this talk, is to familiarize yourself with the digital materials. Because if you are comfortable and you know what you're doing, then this really helps to boost confidence for your students. Everyone feels much more comfortable if the teacher is comfortable. So take a little bit of time to look at the resources, look at the EKB and how it works. And if you feel comfortable, you can show your students exactly what they need to do. And that takes us on to this. We always assume that students are great at technology because they're so young, but they don't know the Egyptian Knowledge Bank system in the same way that you do. So it's always really important to make sure that they are very, very clear about what they need. And if they have a direct link, that's even better. We've already spoken about having a variety of different tools and ways of working. So that is a really key, especially at the moment where everything is difficult because we're in a pandemic situation, and as you know, students can't go to school in the way that they normally would. Everyone feels a little less comfortable than usual. So having something that's very engaging and varied for your class is so important. We've discussed flipping the classroom and doing things in a different order. That's a great way to bring some variety into your class. And we also, it's very important to find out about your student situation and their preferences. So if you have a class who are all really, really excellent at using technology, you can make sure you use a lot more of it. And if you have students that are not so comfortable, you can give them that little bit of extra support. So it's really important to know where your students are starting from. And finally, and my most important point today, is please share your successful resources with other teachers. All of your ideas, all of your contributions. You've been amazing on the chat today with lots of different ideas, which is fantastic. And it's really, really helpful for you all to share your experience with other teachers. So please continue to do that. That's amazing. So I'm going to move on to the last slide, which is thank you for your attention. We do, as a publishing company with York Press and Longman together, we have a Facebook page, which you may already follow, which is this. And please do continue, please do follow that, because we publish a lot of insights on the page, both from the authors, the editors. We publish links to exactly that, to links to the EKB and where to find lessons and resources. So that's a really good place. And you can also share your ideas and your advice for other teachers on that page as well. So please do follow that. And thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to finish so that you can ask some questions. I see Miss Amani is back.
Thanks, Suzette, for this great session. We all got benefit, and it's not, the strange. This is the normal. Thank you very much. And if you want the participants just to share questions, so whether you want them to write it down or to unmute themselves, as you like.
I don't mind. It's fine to unmute us. Maybe people need to put their hands up first.
Okay, so I have Miss Amira Fayez. Do you want to ask a question, Miss Amira? Miss Amira, if you want to ask a question, please just unmute yourself. Okay, we have Moonlight. Okay, Moonlight, you can unmute yourself. Yes. Yes, Miss Amira. Moonlight. Please try to unmute. Okay, on Facebook, is there anyone who wants to ask a question? Yes, Miss Moonlight. Okay. Yes, we have Miss Heba. Okay, Miss Heba, you can unmute yourself if you please.
Thank you for this amazing webinar. I'd like to ask, I'm teaching Prep 1, and I want to know more how I can get a teacher's guide, but not just in an interactive form. Sometimes I want to work offline. Is there a possibility to have my teacher's guide like a PDF version or something like that? Or it's not available right now? Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question.
Yes.
I believe it's not available quite at the moment. We are in discussions with CCIMD and the EKB team at the moment to make teachers' guides more easily available. And as soon as they are, we will publish the links on the Facebook page. I think some are available, but certainly not all of them. So we will continue to work on that. I know everyone wants them.
Okay, thank you, Suzette. Moonlight, okay, you can go
Yes.
on. You can
Yes.
go on.
Good evening.
Good evening.
If you don't mind, can you give us a quick idea about 1 or 2 apps for using in our work online, such as Mentimeter and an app for making or creating a quiz?
Yes, sure. So there are a couple of different apps. I can put the links that I had in my presentation in the chat for you, if that would be helpful.
Thanks,
That
Suzette.
might be the simplest way.
Okay, thank you. We have Mr. Ibrahim Al-Gamal.
My question is about the real book. All the teacher of English using the digital resources as a teaching aids. What about the real book? The teacher of English all over the country need the real book in their hands to help them in the educational process. That's my question. All the teacher of English all over the country need the real book as it is a must nowadays, as well as the digital resources. That's my question. All the teacher need the real book beside the digital resources. Okay. What about the real book of English?
Thank you for your question. So it's a little bit different for in the situation for preparatory and for secondary. For preparatory, the real book, the hard copy book, is delivered to all schools in the same way as always. For secondary level, the decision was taken by the Ministry of Education that they wanted everyone to use the digital resources. So that's not a decision that we as publishers are able to control. So we just provide the resources that the Education Ministry has decided that they would like us to provide. So we'll take your feedback and we'll pass it to the ministry, but it's for them to make that decision.
Thanks a lot,
Thank
Suzette.
you so much.
So
Thanks
is
so much.
there any other one who wants to ask a question? And on Facebook, we don't have questions right now. So do you want to ask any questions for Suzette before she flies?
I won't be flying anywhere. I'm working from home.
Cold London. Okay, we have Mr. Walid Kamel. Yes, Mr. Walid. You can unmute yourself if you please.
Yes.
Mr. Walid Kamel.
Yes, I'm with you. Yes, I'm with you. My question is, I think that our resources in the study or Egyptian Knowledge Bank is not enough. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I think our resources is not enough for our students in the study or LMS is not enough for our student. They are just a few questions with just a few answers. The students in secondary school doesn't show that enough for them. How can we change that?
what kind of extra resources would you be interested in having?
Like some more questions. The ministers said that there will be a bank of questions for all students. There is nothing like that.
Do you mean more like the questions which we have for the questions which are in the exams? Or
Yes,
do you mean more practical?
something like that.
So we do publish similar things to that on our Facebook page. So please have a look there for the extra materials.
Yes, I look at that, but it's not enough just for the first unit, second unit, third unit. There are only 16 questions. That's
Okay.
not enough for a secondary school.
Suzette, can I just interfere here?
Of course.
I have a comment from Dr. Iman. She says that we have downloadable sheets. So we
Yes,
have many sheets over there.
I have them, but they are not enough. They're just multiple choice.
Okay, good to know. We will continue to make more.
Can I add something, please?
Yes, Ms. Nasser.
Yes, in my lessons, I usually add activities before going into the EKB. I usually, for example, in the reading text, I designed an activity called You Are an Expert. Okay? In this lesson, we have 7 steps for doing first aid. I asked my students to read and act it out in front of their families, partners, and read it without the book. Then go to the EKB to check and answer the question. Also, for the video, I usually design activity. For example, I get the material of the activity and write it in 2 columns and ask them to read it before watching the video, and then watch the video and go into and match A with B. Then go to the question. So we have to design activities before going into the EKB in each step. So EKB should be the practice should be the last step for step, because they don't need the teacher. They can find the correct answer, something like that. So it depends on the activities of the teacher. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Nasser. That's a really good point. So the interactive lesson is there and available along with all those digital resources and the extra sheets that we have on our Facebook page, but it's not designed to be used completely without a teacher. The teacher is a really, really important part of any student's learning experience. All of you are so key to what students need to be able to progress. And exactly that, you know your students better than anyone else. You know how they're going to react. They need to be prepared for a task. They need to have the variety of talking to someone and practicing and then using the resource. So that was a very good point, and thank you for making it.
Suzette, I have a question from Fatma Nabil from Facebook. She's asking, can we make our own interactive material?
Your own interactive materials? Yes, please, please do. We can't publish them on the EKB until they're assessed by the Ministry of Education. But yes, for your own classes, of course, you can make your own interactive materials. That's a lovely idea.
Okay, so
Because
Hoda?
we have in students, yes.
Okay.
In all the students, we have 3 levels of students. We have clever students, we have slow learners. So we have to help these students with activities. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Hoda, please. We have Ms. Hoda Mohammed.
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank you for this wonderful opportunity to be a participant here in Zoom. And thanks, Ms. Petit, for this informative and wonderful session. I'm a teacher of Prep 1. Also, I taught Prep 2 and Prep 3, and this year I'm teaching primary 3. I want to know if you would be able to deliver some informative sessions about how to teach these classes in an interactive way and online, because I'm teaching in, you know, state schools. Most of students are very low, you know, they couldn't understand English, and this subject is very, very difficult for them. So I hope you will be able to deliver some interactive activities or some online activities can do online and on site. And thanks a lot.
Thank you. It's a very good question. So today's presentation, we have focused on New Hello. So obviously that is preparatory and secondary school. So the needs of primary school students are a little bit different. They don't have such, they're obviously not so independent, and they don't have such a long attention span. So it's a little bit of a different way of teaching that is needed. But we do have some digital resources, and we continue to look at increasing them. Miss Amani, who is leading today's discussion, also has a wonderful range of interactive lessons for Connect on the Sphinx Facebook page, so it's worth looking at those. And there will also be other presentations coming in the EKB program, which will talk more about the Connect books and how to teach those. So I hope that those will be able to help with your questions a bit more. There are lots of things that are true for secondary and prep and also primary, but we haven't had time to focus on primary specifically today.
Hello.
Okay, Marnila, I'm sorry, Marnila Hani is asking about the name of our Facebook page. It's New Hello for Egypt.
Yes, that's right.
So any other, yes, any other questions, any other comments?
I will also put
Mr. Karim from Facebook is asking. Yes, okay, so that it will be good. Mr. Karim from Facebook is asking, can you add an assessment at the end of the unit? What about online interactive quizzes for primary stage?
Thank you for the question. That's very good. Yes, at the moment, we haven't been asked by the ministry to do interactive questions for primary stage, but it's really helpful to have your feedback that you would like that. And so we can certainly talk to the ministry about that and see whether that would be something that they would be interested in having.
New words. My question is how to learn a new words.
How to learn new words. So I think there are many different approaches to learning new words, and it can be a little bit more difficult with digital resources, but all of the ideas we discussed today, so having a variety of different presentations of new words. So you could ask students to just check the words in a dictionary, and then if they are reading a passage with those words in it, they can understand the words within the context, and then they can do exercises with those words. You can ask students to keep a notebook writing the words and the definition. So I think the only way to learn new words and all of English language is to keep practicing and to keep repeating, but trying to do it in different ways so that students don't get bored, but also have the practice they need to remember the new information.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
You're welcome. Ms. Khadra Ali says that she has a question. So Ms. Khadra, are you there? Whether type the question or just raise your hand.
Yeah. Hello, everyone, and thanks a lot for the presentation. It's really good, it's amazing. And I want to say that I'm a teacher at the secondary stage, and I enjoy teaching these topics, staying healthy, eating around the world. I want to add something, that we have revision units in this course, and this can help us to invent, to create our questions, our own questions also. So we can take them as samples, okay? And we can add questions to our students, because some teachers asked about how to make questions or how to ask questions. So we have revision units, and we have practice exercises as well in this course. And they are really good. They helped me a lot with my students. But I want to ask about the second term, the course of the second term. We don't have anything in idea about it. What about the units of the second term? This is my question. Thanks a lot for this presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's really good to have your feedback, and I'm delighted to hear that the books are so suitable for you and your students. That's really, really great to hear. But as for term 2, news on term 2 will be coming extremely shortly. We're just having the last things signed off by the ministry, and then we will be able to share it with everybody. So we will let you know as soon as we have news, but
Okay.
it's coming very, very soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you.
Okay, for now, the questions are over. So if you want to add anything, you're muted.
Thank you. I always do that. So yes, just thank you to everybody who's joined us today, and to Miss Amani. It's been fantastic. It's lovely to talk to you all and to receive all your comments and your feedback. It's always hard for us to know what's going on in the classroom, so it's great to have your input. And thank you all for sharing that and sharing your ideas with us. And please continue to share your ideas, not just with us, but with your fellow teachers. Interactive lessons are so new to everybody. So we all need to support each other. And it's great that you're doing so. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Suzette, for being here today. It was amazing seeing you today and enjoying your wonderful session. Thanks a lot. Thanks for all the attendees. You really were awesome, and your contributions were really valuable. Thank you very much, and have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Suzette.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Hello.